Hickok 45 here, loading a 45. Yes, Colt 45. Pretty nice. Let's see if it'll shoot. Oh, it's going to be smoky. Oh, I forgot. I don't get around the first time, do I? All right, I told you it'd be smoky. Let's shoot it again. Let's spill some more liquid. All right, let's hit that stop sign. All right, see the fire. I'm gonna go up here and smoke this pot. Like it doesn't make enough smoke. Needs another one. All right, shot over it. So that's 5. That should be all it has. Yes, Hickok 45 with a Colt 45. Well, it's a Colt Single Action Army chambered in 45 Colt. That's what we have. And guess what? Black powder. Why are we shooting nasty old black powder? Well, tell you what, it might have something to do with the age of this Colt. You might have seen it in the short we did. Maybe on a Sunday morning shoot around, one Sunday morning, which I do every Sunday. But otherwise, you haven't seen it. It's empty. Look at those big chambers. It's going to get so dirty, but that's okay. It'll clean up nicely. Yep, this is a firearm made in 1874, and we've not done a video on it yet. I found this at actually it was a Civil War show, wasn't it? Yeah, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, back in the summer, I guess early summer or spring, and have not really brought it to you appropriately yet. And you know, I like old Colt Single Actions or new Colt Single Actions. Okay, it's just a weakness I have. And I ran across this there, and it followed me home. And it's in actually pretty good shape. It may not look like much to you, but it is. So we're going to fire some black powder in it just to take good care of it, and talk a little bit about it, and not overshoot it. Not eating you. And yeah, we got some history here, and I can read your mind. You're thinking, oh no, here comes Hickok with a 35-minute video. He's got some of his favorite old firearms out here. Actually, I'm not going to do that. Of course, that's a kiss of death every time I say it. It's not going to be 30 minutes long. But I wanted to show you this mainly, put it in context, and just not going to get in a hurry, but I'm not going to take a long time with it, because I'm not going to shoot it too many times. This is just a beautiful piece of hardware as far as I'm concerned. The Colt Single Actions, I'm not going to talk down to you, I'm not going to talk up to you. Well, I talk down to everybody, I'm 6'8". But if you know nothing about these, they came about in 1873 in this configuration. The Colt Single Action Army was adopted by the Army, imagine that, in 1873. And there were obviously variations before we got to 1873. Colt made that actually used cartridges, the conversions, and some of that. But this was the first firearm designed for this cartridge, the 45 Colt center fire, okay, in 1873 with a top strap and everything. And here's an original 45 Colt round. Okay, so they were in copper cases originally. All right, so I'm not going to fire that when it costs $20 or $30, but you know, it's 45 Colt. I could slip it in there and it would probably fire. Let's see, you don't believe me, do you? Let me show you it fits. Okay, it's a 45 Colt. So that's what it would look like back in the day. Didn't have a lot of markings on it. Maybe some of them did, I don't know. I bought this at a gun show somewhere, cartridge collector, just so I'd have it, 45 Colt. And black powder, of course. And black powder has a different pressure curve. And these old Colts, you're supposed to fire black powder. I know some people don't. They fire really light cowboy loads and get by with it mostly. I try to fire black powder in these mostly. And that's what it is, 45 Colt, 1874. I've got the letter on it over here. Let me drag it over here and just, I got some rounds on it. You can, for those people who don't know, you look at the serial number, and you can order from Colt. I don't know what it costs now, I haven't done it. This came with it. It makes the gun more attractive or valuable if you have the thing lettered, as it's called. And it gives you the history, if they can find it, you know, in their records of the firearm. All right, so this firearm right here, it serial number, you know, right, it's listed 45 Colt. It was shipped to Kittredge and Company in Cincinnati, Ohio, October 13th, 1874. And as I understand, Kittredge and Company in Cincinnati, they had another office somewhere in the South, I think, but they were a huge retailer distributor in the day. There were a couple, three others, and Colt really relied on them to help market their guns. They helped market them, sell them. So most of their guns, guns, went to those that handful of distributors. And that changed later on, as I understand, but Kittredge was a big one. I read that they're the ones who came up with the term peacemaker, and some others, you know, like these companies, the distributors, came up with the terms Thunderer and Lightning, some of the terms that, you know, that the Colt Firearms were dubbed, right? And they, like today, a large distributor has a lot of power, you know, and they have a lot of leverage with a gun company. If a distributor is selling thousands, and we could name some of them, because you'll see special runs, right, of firearms, maybe a barrel length that the company normally doesn't make, but a particular distributor will say, hey, I can sell 1,000 of those if you'll make them in this 3.5-inch barrels or something, do something a little different finish. And so Colt or Smith & Wesson, whoever, will do that for them. Okay, yeah, you're going to buy them, you sell them, yeah, we'll do that. And so the reason I talk so much about that is this firearm, if you notice, it has a 4 3/4-inch barrel, and that was not standard in 1874. The firearm had just been out a year. And so I bought this with that knowledge, of course, and knowing that, and the seller as well, assuming it was cut down by somebody or the barrel was replaced and everything. And I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I got it at a price, you know, still a good price. It'd be worth maybe 4 or 5 times that if in the letter it mentioned the barrel length and it was actually this length and that sort of thing. But so someone probably took an inch or two off the barrel and moved the sight. That's my best guess, because the barrel looks original, the wear and everything. It just seems like an original barrel. And it looks like the sight from the inside might have been moved, unless, of course, we're totally empty here. Maybe some of you Colt experts can help me. You see there's no ammo in it? That's pretty important, okay? Because we're going to look down the muzzle here in a minute. All right, I'll put the hammer all the way down. It's empty. I've got a little flashlight in my pocket here. I don't know if you can see it, but in the top where the sight would be attached, now I don't have another one this old, so I don't know, maybe they all look like that. And I don't know if you can see it, but I can kind of tell where they I guess drilled the holes and welded or soldered the sight, however they put them on. Again, they all might look like that up until 1884 or something like that. I'm not sure. And then also, it doesn't look like somebody just hacked off the end of the barrel, but it's had a lot of wear on it since they did that, if that's what was done. So there's a lot of possibilities, I guess, and either way, it doesn't matter. It shoots right on. The gun, all the numbers match, cylinder, you know, the frame, the trigger guard, and the backstrap, everything. It's all correct. The numbers all match. And I think someone just, they had the barrel taken down, or they ordered it that way. You could special order these guns. The gun companies back then would do all, Winchester the same way. They built most of this by hand, and so if you wanted a barrel this length, you could order it without any trouble. And then also the distributors. It could be, and I'm just thinking out loud, but you know, Kittredge, possibly, they ordered 11. There was 11 in the shipment. They're just as likely to have said, hey, Colt, you know, we're getting a lot of requests for shorter barrels. We'd like 5 of these in this length barrel or something. You just don't know. Or Kittredge might have done it to some of them, or by a request of a customer. I don't know. But anyway, this is unusual for one this old to have a barrel this short. So that's the bottom line. So it's very cool, and but it's all correct, other than whether or not the barrel was cut down. And it's a very desirable barrel length. And later on, like in the 1880s, it was in the catalog. You know, 4 3/4, 5 1/2, 7 1/2. Early on, they were generally 7.5. And I also don't want to forget silencercentral.com, a great supporter of the channel, and they are working right now feverishly on a suppressor that we can put on this revolver that will handle black powder smoke and grit, right? As a joke. Yeah, suppressor on revolver generally doesn't work so well, but we appreciate silencercentral.com. Really easy to work with. You give them a call and they'll help walk you through the proper suppressor for whatever firearm you want to suppress, and they'll ship it to your door when you're approved. Really appreciate their help. Thanks, Silencer Central. Thanks to you all for coming around tonight too. So yeah, this is just, it's too cool. I couldn't pass it up. I have a weakness for these, and this is the oldest one I have. You don't get much older, you know, and most of them made in the early 70s, 1870s, or in the 1870s period, are, I won't say junk, but they're in really bad shape. I don't mean to finish like that. I mean just loose and lots of parts replaced, rattle traps and that kind of thing, and they're still expensive. So this is pretty cool. So can I shoot it again? All right, I don't know. I mean, it seems to shoot at Prince High like almost all these do, but windage seems okay. The 4 3/4 are harder to hit with, as I've said before. But this is, you're looking at history here, okay? I hope you appreciate that. You are looking at history. So am I. All right. Let's shoot the paper over here. Yeah, I brought out my cowboy hat because this is historical. I'm hysterical and the gun's historical. Cool. How about one more? How about that can? The rest of that pot. Yeah, I think I have another bullet. Boom. Smoke that 2-liter, just like they did back in 1874, right? Now, speaking of that, this is a firearm that, oh boy, could I make up stories on this one. You know, whenever I trade or sell a Colt Single Action, of course, I start out letting the buyer, potential buyer, know that it was carried by Wyatt Earp, right? You got to have proof of that. So I'm going to make sure she's juiced up here because black powder really clogs them up so I don't have trouble during the video. Most gunfighters kept a can of ballast salt handy when they were in Dodge City or Tombstone, what I understand. Okay. But just, I'm not buying trouble. I haven't shot enough to know if it hangs up. But some of these, after you shoot like 3 cylinders full, they they want to hang up on you. But this firearm, 1874, there's hardly any of the popular Wild West desperados or lawmen that we could name that might not have. I mean, they all could have carried this gun. That's what I'm getting at, because it goes back far enough in time. Any one of them could have had this gun in a holster at some point. Wes Hardin, Wyatt Earp, Billy the Kid, you name them. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to create history that's not there, but I mean, it is a fact. Just as if I had a coin that was made in 1873. It could have been literally in anybody's pocket. And we often, as I mentioned sometimes, we associate a specific firearm or type of firearm with various famous outlaws or lawmen back in the day, because that's what we know they carried. Well, Hickok is famous for his Navy Colts, 51 Navy Colts, but he carried other firearms too. And Wyatt Earp probably carried a variety, almost everybody. Think about yourself, think about me. How many guns, different firearms, I know it's different these days, there's so many choices, but how many different firearms, if you carry a firearm, you live in this country in a free state, how many different firearms have you carried in the last 5 years or 10 years, you know? How many have you owned and shot and enjoyed and then traded them off, and you know how that goes. So literally anybody could have had this, and that's what makes antiques interesting anyway. We don't know the history, but boy, we can make it up, can't we? I did not load, no, I think I messed up and loaded 6. So it's hot, kinda. It's not too hot. You can hit the hammer and it's not going to fire. Hopefully you've seen our videos on that, you know, why you should load 5 instead of 6. So, all right. You know what? Man, why am I not shooting the Desperado down here? Let me see if I can hit him. All right. Boom, dead center. Oh, wow. Let's pop him again. Somebody got the sights lined up back in 1880 or whatever. I'm gonna sling one at the gong. I have a slim chance of hitting it. Let's see. I don't know where to hold. Okay, we're a little bit high. Oh, I saw that right below it. I saw that little lead. So anyway, the barrel length is tough to hit with, but I could work it out. I really could if I was desperate to hit it. These are across the bar room type firearms, 4 3/4. It's a whole nother subject, you know, you could talk about. Look how dirty it gets until I clean it up. You know, if you lived back in the 1870s, which length barrel would you want to carry, you know, for example? Well, it would kind of depend on what you're doing. If I was out on the trail a lot, I would want a 7.5 probably, because man, you can shoot those things like a rifle sometimes if the sights are on. But if you're a town person and you just want the protection, kind of like today, you know, today's world, if you're in an altercation, it's going to be up close and dirty. You know, this would be fine, right? And of course, you practiced. You can hit even at distance with a shorter barrel. These are a little more difficult for me to hit at long range with than any other. You know, that's one of the things we do a lot of around here, mess around with small guns, whether it's a double action revolver or a Glock 27, whatever it is, and show that you can actually hit them at long range, that sort of thing. It is difficult, you know, with these, more so. But I had a thought there that I think I lost it. It's probably a dumb thought, can you imagine? So I've got empties in there, and I'll just go ahead and take those out before I mess with that. You know, shooting black powder. So what else was I going to share with this? Like I say, it was shipped in October 1874. You know, that's going back a ways, and it covers a lot of history. Could have been anywhere, and just because it was shipped to Cincinnati doesn't mean it stayed there, of course. You know, we think about it, back in those days, a lot of firearms went to St. Louis, Cincinnati, you know, as people were moving west, they were buying firearms, and this might have been one of them, so no way to know about that. But what makes these things so cool, I know where I was going, I didn't want to forget, the whole reason I have these out here, and I won't belabor it, one of the cool things about the Colt Single Action is 1874, this gun was made. Well, here's one made in 1990s, and John's got one just like it, you made in 2016, you know, the Davy Colt. And so do I, except it has a long barrel. So this is the same barrel length, that's the reason I brought it out. So that's what this one looked like when it was new, more or less, you know, color case hardened and, you know, blue. It's just the grip. The wooden grips are kind of the old days, that's what they put on them. And you could order them with different finishes and grips and all that sort of thing. So pretty cool. One of the things that makes it so cool, this was again in 1873, the first cartridge gun like this, the Colt, that had the center fire cartridge, the 45 Colt. Even though it doesn't look like it as a primer, it's a center fire, and just like these, it fires with a center fire. And that was the same year that, and I've gone over this on our video called 1873, was a great year. I forget what we titled it, but it's got 1873 in it. That was the same year that the Winchester Model 73 came out, okay? And this cartridge for it came out, the 4440, 44 Winchester centerfire at the time it was called, okay? That was a big event right there. This was a big event. And also the year the Trapdoor Springfield finished its evolution. You know, they started using the old Civil War rifles and cutting them up and everything, but this was the Trapdoor Springfield 1873, and that's the cartridge that came out that same year for it, the 4570. All right, and that's an original cartridge as well. So a big year, 1873. Big guns, very popular guns, used by the military. This one and that one, and this one used by everybody. They found forensic evidence showing that what was it, 8? Yeah, 8 of these were carried by the Native Americans, okay, at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, right? So it was used there against Custer, and I mean, just so much history on this table. It's incredible, right? So I'll shoot one more time, and I'm gonna make you leave, all right? So 1874, you can tell I get a little giddy when I get a piece of history in my hands, and I just enjoy them so much. I must, because they're a job to clean up the black powder. And you know, when you've got one like this that's historical in a hysterical man's hands, you know, you want to really take care of it, right? So you do a serious cleaning job on it when you finish shooting. I'm going to take a couple more shots at the gong just for kicks. That should be a bank right there. Okay. I'll just use both hands, not that that helps, but let me figure out where to hold. It'd be cool to land one of these on there with this whole thing, wouldn't it? Problem is, with the same old deal with shooting a muzzle loader, you can't tell where you hit with the smoke. That one had possibilities. Well, let's just shoot something close here. How about the stop sign? And do I have one more to put on the cowboy? That's a good one to finish on, the old Desperado down there. So if you like firearms like I like firearms, and you appreciate history, yeah, you gotta love these old things. They're I'm the curator again. This is kind of part of my little museum, my little Hickok 45 museum that I will take care of, and it is empty. You know, that was the last one. It's just bizarre. 1874, and again, one of the cool things about this, you saw that one made in the 1990s, that it's been made almost continuously with just a little break here and there since 1873, still in production today. All right, they may be on vacation today because it's kind of a holiday weekend, but as we film this, but in the end of 2021, early 2022, you might be watching this. They're in Connecticut working on these as we speak, building them. They're not building a lot of them. It's in the Colt Custom Shop, but they're still making them. And pretty much like this, there's not a lot of change. So that's pretty cool, whether you're talking about sewing machines or shoes or anything being made, having been made that many years with very little difference and still very popular, or else they wouldn't be making them, right? So anyway, 1874, an old Colt Single Action, as you saw, it still shoots, and you might see it again. Life is good.
Oh yeah, that's better. This is a great gun for defense. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. While I've got you here, I want to remind you of our friends over at Talon Grips and Ballistol. Talon Grips makes grips, can you believe it, for all different types of firearms. You can get rough texture or more of a rubberized texture. It just sticks right on there. You know, really affordable, really cool option to improve the grip for your handguns or rifles. So please check them out at talongungrips.com. You'll be glad you did. And also Ballistol. Dad has been using Ballistol for many years. It's a cleaner and a lubricant, and it's non-toxic. It works really great, and we're happy to have them on board since it's been a part of our shooting endeavor for a very long time. So go to ballistol.com, talongungrips.com. And also, while you're out there, I'm juggling all these things here. Also, while you're on the internet, please do check out our other social media like Hickok 45 on Facebook. There's also Hickok 45 on Twitter. The Real Hickok 45 on Instagram. There's a John_Hickok 45 on Instagram where I do some things. There's Hickok45.com. You can find us also on Gunstreamer. So check out all that stuff and then watch more videos.